Good morning, good evening for you. Thank you so much, Manu Paji, for being on my podcast. I'm absolutely excited because I think you are one of the person whom I really, really admire for what you're doing on a very personal level as well, and professionally for sure. Whatever you're doing with Aceternity, your freelancing, your journey, it's quite exciting, and I really wanted it to amplify to so many people so that they can get some inspiration, motivation out of it. And even if one person can take that leap of faith of going on the path which you have taken, it would be amazing. So let's get started. And once again, thank you so much and welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you, Akash, sir. So thank you so much for having me on the pod. You already know that I admire your work a lot. I love your founder spirit, and I learn a lot from you. You already know it. I've said it a lot of time, obviously on the internet
Yes.
as well. But you already know that if you release a design course, I'll be the first one to spend money. So you know it. I really respect you as a founder, and I'm glad that I could get the chance to talk to you on this podcast that we're doing.
Thank you. I think let's get started. I really want to start with how you started, right? It's an quite interesting journey for sure. So let's get started with like, how was your college? Because that is the place where I'm assuming whatever you are right
Yeah.
now has been started. So
Yeah.
let's do it. Talk from that.
Awesome. So before college, I'd like to talk about school. So I was not a very studious person, and I had no interest in computers as well, except for playing games. And I had a computer setup before, but mostly I played games. I had no interest in building things. But when I stepped into college, computer science was booming at that point. Everyone was taking computer science just for the sake of getting jobs quickly. That is when I took up computer science, and my course was also specialized. I was also specialized in open source software. So that was the specialization that I did with my BTech degree. And first year, second year, first semester, I went to college. Then I completely quit going to college because I drifted off. I didn't like the study atmosphere that was there in our college. I was mostly in my dorm room, and that is when one of my friends who was senior, who was building things with HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So he had a website built for our college for sharing previous year question papers. That is when I got to know about web development and development in general, and that caught my eye. Yeah, so that is when I started my web dev journey. And usme I explored. First I did HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and surprisingly my first framework was Angular. And in my job also, my first framework that I worked on was Angular, even though I was doing React at that point. So job I got in Angular, but then eventually switched. College me I studied from a lot of courses: Udemy, Coursera, Udacity. I took a lot of courses, completed a lot of projects, and once I started doing those projects, I mean, I had a graveyard of 20, 30 projects built just by watching those courses and tutorials. But then I was not getting something out of it. It was completely tutorial hell. Then I started building things on the side, like, okay, if I want to have this feature, I won't take a course for it. I probably read documentation and build it myself, take help from seniors, take help from people, is what my goal used to be back then. And I think that proved to be substantial. So once the learnings happened, then I went into the freelance path. So I wanted to make money. I wanted to chill a bit more with my friends. So that is what I wanted to do. I wanted to have more pocket money with me. So that is when I started this web dev, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Say I'll build websites for restaurants and pubs which were there in Dehradun back then. And I reached out. I had another person working with me on that, and it was called Aceternity. That is when Aceternity was built. That is what we used to call it. I mean, kuch naam dena tha. So we also had business cards printed for Eternity back then. It was a second year end or third year. So that is when I got into it, and eventually I left it. I got into the job mindset. कि भाई, it's fourth year now. I'll have to get a job. I have to support my family. Got placement of decent, like big mass recruiter came in and I got placed. But then I really didn't wanted to shift to Mumbai with that salary. So I thought of कि भाई, let's try Gate. Let's write Gate, get into an IIT, get better placement chances. But then Gate rank was not that good. I mean, motivation shifted off, and at that point also I was also freelancing simultaneously. So I was already making money when I was studying and stuff. So that happened. That challenge I took over. And then I once decided that I don't want to go into an IIT. Marks is also not that good, and that is when I searched for a job on a platform I won't name, and I got the job from that. And that was the first job that I applied, that I got decent paying, and I learned a lot in that job. I mean, I worked for 2.5, maybe 3 years, and then I completely switched to freelancing. I mean, that's a whole other different story how I did it, but yeah, I'd have to talk more. But yeah, this is the
I
journey in crux
I
that I wanted
think
to
you
relate.
have done a lot of in your first 4 year of engineering itself. And now
Yeah,
I have a lot of questions around that itself. Like every student, as soon as they start their engineering first year, like they
yeah,
enjoy their first year or they try to enjoy, and then from second year they started questioning about everything, like what they are doing with their life and all
yeah.
that. And there is lot of questions around that. How did you navigated that? Because I think doing all this freelancing, finding doing these small projects, was that the coping mechanism for you? And like, I'll try to figure out what will work for me, or does that help you to figure out what you're doing today?
So one biggest motivating factor for me to try a different thing was I don't come from a well-off family, so I had this back in my mind key I have to support my family, no matter what I do,
Hmm.
no matter how chill I am, no matter how party I do, going places. I have to support my family at the end of the day. So if I'm skipping college, it better be worth it. So even if I'm
Hmm.
chilling throughout the day, at the night everyone is sleeping, I'm working. That was done. I mean, there was a point I used to teach the entire hostel what are computer networks, what is this algorithm does, and what are microcontrollers, microprocessors. People used to find it difficult. I used to read from books, tutorials, whatever. But I had this mindset where you'll have to continuously learn. If you lose out on touch, you might lose out on opportunities and prospects later down the road. But that was always there in the back of my mind. I've enjoyed a lot in my college, don't get me wrong, but I've also studied
Hmm.
at the same time.
Right. And you also talked about you started with doing courses.
Yes.
uh, how do you really think that's a good way of getting started to getting into this? Did that help you?
It did. I'll be honest. It did with only the first half of the course, I'll say. After
Hmm.
that, I was just thinking if I'm learning. I mean, I was assuming that I was learning, but I was just copying things. I was
Hmm.
taking a video tutorial, I was learning from it, trying to do what they would do. If they get stuck, I get stuck. I'll have to wait for their video to give me the answer, but I was not learning anything. So initial push courses gave me that. I'll give it to them. But then it's the documentation that I had to read, the struggles of navigating through an error that I had to spend time on, is what where my real learnings happened. So that is
Hmm.
when I snapped out of tutorial hell by I'm spending hours and hours on courses, but nothing fruitful is coming out of. At the end of the day, if tomorrow someone asks me this question, I won't be able to answer that. I'll be able to answer probably if I've struggled with the problem firsthand. And that is when I realized, when I was learning databases and MongoDB and Postgres, nothing. I mean, I would take a tutorial, I would understand, but then next day it would just snap. So that is when
Hmm.
I tried to do more of the documentation approach, or dealing with the problem firsthand, and struggling with the problem at hand is what helped me later down the road to solidify my learnings. I already know what this query does, what that query does. But if a specific new problem comes in, I would have tackled it differently. Now, if I think about it, but pehle to I used to be all courses and stuff.
Hmm. And I think then you graduated into building products or like building projects.
Yeah,
You,
yeah,
because your motivation was, there were two motivation: monetization and like making money out
yeah,
of it, and then also learning.
yeah.
How do you think how important that is for anyone to get started, even for the freelancing or getting a job?
So it totally depends what your motivation. It could be you want to get more visibility, more people using your product, or
Hmm.
monetary benefits are always there. I mean, that was my motivation. Honestly, I wanted to make a lot of money, so that was my motivation for making products. And I didn't want to put out garbage product and want people to pay. I wanted people to pay for the value that I provided, and that was my mindset from the very start. So yeah, money can
Hmm.
be a really really great motivation, because once you get that first paycheck, it hits
Hmm.
you, and then you see there are a lot of things that you can diversify into, and that could result in a lot more opportunities and ways in which you can earn. I remember my first freelancing project, which was there. They paid me like what 10, 20,000 rupees, and once that was done, I could see the future ki bhai, if I can make 20,000 rupees, maybe I can one day make $20,000, who knows, and I
Hmm.
won't have dependencies on anyone. So that was a
Which
big
ye-
push.
which year was this?
It was, I guess, 2015 was my entry year into college, or 2017.
Okay, that
So in
was good money.
2017, it was 20,000 split into two people, 10,000, because he did digital marketing. At that point, it was very famous. You build a website, we'll be doing digital marketing for you. And I built the website from the ground up. We hosted. It was very basic, but it was 10,000 was a lot of money for us. Was then that day we it was a party.
Right, and I think once you start all doing all of these things, your interest from the studies goes down. That is what I have
Yeah,
noticed, because I
yeah.
also on the similar path. Have you ever thought of dropping off?
No, I did not. I did not. I never thought, because it was a costly college. My mother put in a
Hmm.
lot of money into that. So, like I said, it was there in the back of my mind that they are putting in so much money, so much effort.
Hmm.
I'm like 600, 700 kilometers away from my home. So, if
Hmm.
they're putting in money, I have to at least graduate. I mean, no matter what anyone says today, also, if you talk in an Indian household, it matters to them. So, if it matters to them,
Hmm.
it matters to me. Otherwise, college for me was no good. First
Hmm.
semester I went, the rest seven of the semester I didn't even go to college. I was just in my hostel room. Maybe for projects or viva I used to go, but not more than that. Then we used to just chill inside of our hostel dorm rooms.
What advice you will give? Because I see a lot of students get these thoughts of dropping off in like second year, third year of their college.
Yeah.
What your advice to them who think dropping off?
The reason for dropping off is most important. Like, why do you want to drop off? Are the studies or the exams a barrier into your product that you're building? If that's not the case, you probably don't have to back off, because you are essentially, colleges, what I feel, at least tier 3 colleges I'm talking about, not talking about ITs, are fancy real estate businesses. This might be very controversial, but this is why what I genuinely feel. These are fancy real estate businesses wherein you pay for 4 years just for the placements which are going to happen there. So you don't want to miss out on that opportunity, at least, because see, if you're not building anything on the side, it's just that you don't want to study and you don't want to appear for exams, dropping off doesn't make sense. But you have some very burning desire for something that you've proven. For example, you're a really great designer, people are loving your work all over the internet, and you have to study for microprocessors and you cannot work on your client stuff. Makes sense to drop off. But still, that's a very personal decision that I leave it up to the person who's trying to do it. For me, it was a very big thing at that point. I thought about it. "Okay, let's drop off. Let's go into it full time." But I didn't have the courage back then.
I think this is pretty similar to leaving your job and being a founder,
Yes, yes, yes.
right?
True.
But I think that comes
Sorry.
later, for sure. But like after your college, you joined a company uh,
Yeah, I mean,
from
I
your.
prepared for gate. I prepared for
Okay.
gate. Appeared for gate. Didn't get a good rank. Then I joined the company. I think I joined in 2019 or 2020, maybe
Mhm.
2020, I guess. Yeah. Oh no, 2019, I guess. Yeah, 2019 I joined, and then I
And when
worked
did
till
you left?
2022. I
Okay.
left at 2022, and Aceternity was doing like really good at that point of time. So I was managing job and Aceternity at the same time. And
Oh,
Aceternity UI wasn't there.
mhm.
Aceternity's service business was there initially, and it was doing
So
pretty well.
awesome. So I think let's now I want to come to Eternity because
Yeah,
it's an interesting product. I will say
yeah,
product service side is different
yeah,
because I think this is what I perceive. Like Eternity made Manu Paji who
yeah,
Manu Arora is. I
yeah, yeah.
This is what my interpretation. I might be wrong.
That's very true. That's very true.
So I think I really want to talk about it, like how it got started. Like it was a service business,
Yeah.
but how you got into that product uh,
So
thing.
there is a challenge with service business that you're essentially selling your time for money, and it doesn't scale that well. So you can take like two projects, three projects at a time. There will be a lot of context switching. There will be a lot of answerability, dependency, lots of other things come into picture. That is when I thought, I was already building products on the side. There was algo churn, there was pixel perfect stuff like that, but none of them were making money. So I already knew that if I want to do it long term, or something that I build of myself which also brings me money, can be a good pivot for this current thing. So that is when I first built Tailwind Master Kit. It was just like Tailwind UI, but it was different set of components for different set of pages. But I didn't know marketing then. I was completely immersed in development. I spent 4 months into perfecting login authentication, databases, which one to take, which one not to take. Spent a lot of time on designing it, populating 150 components first and then launching it. Made a lot of mistakes, and it didn't do really well, honestly. It did decent. It gave me, at least, I mean, the only thing Tailwind MasterKit helped me was get more clients. That was the worst that could happen, and that happened. So it was a really great indication for the client to hire me, because my code was out there. He could see that I can build websites for him, and there was practically no interview. So that was the best thing that happened with me with Tailwind MasterKit. So people
And that
wouldn't
was,
interview me. Yeah,
oh, then that was your side project.
that was my side project. Yes, all
And
of
how
my
many?
projects are side projects.
Okay, now we have to talk about that.
Yeah.
How important it is to build side projects.
No, it's very important. It helps in learning. It helps you get traction. If you get known by your side project, that's the best thing that you can do. That happens with me. If people are like, "ये Aceternity वाले पाजी है, Aceternity वाला मन्नू है," ऐसा करके लोग. I feel very privileged, and I feel happy that I get recognized from my product. But I mean, talking about technical side of it, you get to learn a lot. So once you have paying users, you have to be serious with the data that you have. You have to ensure security, you have to ensure uptime. Once real people start using your product, there are n number of things that you have to take care of. Leaving tech aside, also there are many things that you have to do. So it teaches you a lot. A side project in itself is a great teacher. You'll get to know marketing, you'll get to know outreach. You'll have to drop down your ego to zero and shamelessly product promote your product everywhere that you go. All those things will teach you a lot of valuable life lessons. Apart from tech, if you talk about tech, there's so much to learn. You'll have to handle authentication, front end, back end, databases, hosting it, DevOps, AWS. If you want to go the AWS route or the Vercel route, Vercel pay, if you're paying $300 a month, then you'll have to optimize it. You'll have to learn Docker, you have to learn containerization, put it inside of a $5 VPS and see how it works. Even if you want to work with Next.js or not, or you want to port it to Remix for performance things, all these decisions you'll have to take once even you have 10 people using our product. So that is what you can learn. And if you start learning it from a course, it will probably take 100 200 hours, and that too will be a drill down learning, if it is not a live one or whatever. But yeah, a lot of things that you can learn by building a side project. I mean, I learned a
And
lot of things.
how many side projects you built
I
before
have lost
you
count.
came to
I have lost
Eternity?
count. I have lost count. I mean, there are many unreleased graveyards of a lot of side projects that I have. I can, on top of my mind, remember that worked was AlgoChurn was front end interview platform wherein people could practice machine coding rounds. There was Pixel Perfect where you could Pixel Perfect translate Figma to code, things like that. Tailwind MasterKit was decent, not monetarily, but people used it for free components and stuff. And there were many. I wrote a lot of blogs for Free Code Camp, a lot of side projects for compilation and execution of code, whatever you see in DSA, stuff like that. So these are the some of the projects that I can remember top of my mind. Otherwise, I don't even consider clone projects as side projects though. I have a lot of plethora of clone projects that I did to learn, but I learned nothing.
Right. I really want to talk about that. I have seen so many students who are getting started. When we ask them to build side projects, they went ahead into the clone rabbit hole. Clone of
Yep.
Netflix, clone of this, that. What you have to say about it?
When if you're just starting out, it makes sense because everyone is doing it. There are clone projects wherein the goal of a clone project, I feel, from a creator's perspective, is to get you an idea of everything that gets around into building a product: front end, back end, databases, DevOps, stuff like that, Kubernetes, Docker, agera, agera. So they want to have some project wherein all these technologies and learnings they can put in. But the problem with that is problem with clone projects, and you put in your CV. I'm sure you also recruit for Peerlist, so you'll be seeing thousands of clone projects into CVs, and it becomes a second nature that you don't want to interview that person because everyone has done the same thing. If you want to stand out from a lot of people which are already doing it, at least have something which is different inside of it. For example, if you're building a Netflix clone, maybe build a clone wherein the idea is of Netflix, but you have some edge into it. Sell Netflix for books or something like that, so that you all at least understand the basics good enough that you are able to pull those basics off into something which is completely different. So I think this can be one of the deciding factors if they want to get interviewed or not. But otherwise, you are doing Slack clone, the other person is also doing Slack clone, so there are thousands of Slack clones, and you get lost into the crowd. Good for you if you learn, but do maybe one clone project. After that, build something, have some idea. There are so many ideas, from Chrome extensions there are so many Chrome extensions that you can build, and so many cool things that you can do with extensions itself, that it already stands out, because everyone is building a web app, everyone is building a clone. If you come up there with a, let's say, Chrome extension that can extract button ka CSS from a website, that will make you stand out from the rest of the people if you're interviewing or if you're looking for client work. So that I think you'll have to have some edge if you're making clones of anything, Twitter clone, Stack Overflow clone. But have some of your edge. Maybe make a UI a little different. Maybe have some different auth. If they are teaching it to you in, let's say, next auth, use Clerk. Try using Clerk. Try integrating
Mm.
third parties into it. Or if they're using MongoDB, you should definitely use Postgres and see how SQL works. You know, try it on your own. The concepts are similar, but you'll learn more. So these can be some of the deciding factors when comes to clone projects. Nothing against clone projects though, if you're just trying to learn. But if you want to stand out, have some edges. Is what I'll suggest for anyone watching the video.
Right. And I think you if you build something different, you will also get users to use it.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
and as you mentioned earlier, like, it has a different kick to it
yeah,
when there are 10 different people using your product and giving you
yeah,
feedback.
yeah,
Right. I think, yeah, that is one of the thing which is missing, I think, between these two,
yeah,
which I think differentiates you, I believe. But yeah, I think
yeah,
my I want to go back to your after college job journey. um,
yeah.
how did you prepare yourself to become a founder while doing the job?
I think this founder mindset was already there. I want to do a job, but after I get good at my craft, I want to have something of my own. Because I could see, honestly, nothing against job culture, nothing against corporate, but I could see I could not survive on a 10%, 20% increment, climb that corporate ladder. It was just not for me. I mean, nothing against it. I respect people working on jobs. It teaches you a lot. I mean, whatever, I thought I knew React, but then when I got into the job, I actually got to know how React actually works. So that is what job gave me. The 3 years that I worked there taught me pretty much everything. All my courses knowledge was going right out of the window, and real world knowledge was getting inside. So I used to work 16 hours, 14 hours for the company. And I was fortunate enough that my mentor, my senior, his name is Vijay. I respect him a lot. Going to Goa with him after 5 days. But yeah, he taught me pretty much everything when it comes to web. He's such a 10x 100x programmer. He taught me everything, and I was fortunate enough to work with him. And once I got a hang of it, the development side of it, I stick to him. I was like bothering him all the time, every day. How does this work? How does that work? If he was building some other project, I would sit with him and understand how he was doing it. That is, I also got to work with microcontrollers and processors. We had a project at the port. She also taught me all those hardware related things, everything. I mean, he's a full stack engineer, individual contributor. He pretty much can do anything, is what I've seen. So that gave me confidence, and I wanted to learn from him. That is what job gave me. So I'm really great, and gratitude. I mean, there is a lot of gratitude for jobs. I got to
I
learn
think,
from people better than me.
yeah, I think because you mentioned that, uh, learning from people better than you, how important is mentorship? Like, you should have a mentor. How important is that?
I mean, a mentor. So there are different definitions of mentor. One is the standard one, which is you have someone guiding you, spoon feeding you, stuff like that, which doesn't generally work if you have to be spoon. So what he used to do with me was, for example, he taught me what callbacks are, and if I go to him again saying that I'm not able to understand this, he would tell me, "Ki, I told you the first time. Now, if you're not able to do it, spend 10 hours on it, do your own research, and then come back to me." That is how he taught me. He didn't spoon fed me anytime. So that is one sort of mentorship. The other is, for example, if you contribute to open source and there is someone who is reviewing your pull request, even that is mentorship. He's telling you where your code is wrong and he's giving you a chance of improvement. That is also mentorship. If you're in a Discord server, for example, if you're on Peerlist, you post your code there. Let's say if this is not working, if 10 people are coming and helping you out, if this doesn't work, read this article. Once you're done reading this, implement this. If you're not able to do this still, then come to us and we'll be able to help you. That is what is mentorship in my opinion. So Peerlist is a great platform in that case. You can go to the project section and you see 100 different really great projects built by people. So I see a lot of builders mindset there. A lot of projects, really crazy ideas coming out of Peerlist projects. And I think you can find similar mentality wale people there who can, pair program. Pair programming is also mentorship. Pair programming as in you
Hmm.
guys sit together, you figure out flaws. So what we used to do there is we used to review each other's pull requests. So we used to nitpick each very small details also, so that we could learn more. Two junior engineers sitting and reviewing each other's pull request, and then at the end of the day, the senior would review it for us. But yeah, that is also one sort of way wherein you could learn more. So that is
I
what
think you
Peerless gives you.
totally,
That is why I promote it like anything. I love it. I love it.
yeah, I think you totally redefined the concept of mentoring in last 30 seconds. I haven't thought about it that way. Like I would call it like passive mentoring or passive mentorship. If you're
Yeah, because
introvert, you don't.
not everyone will have the opportunity that I had. Not everyone will get seniors who are really good. Not everyone will have jobs at their hand to learn these kinds of things. So these are the places, Peerlist projects, Peerlist timeline scroll. There are GitHub issues, GitHub discussions. Contribute to a very small repo with a very small pull request, you'll learn 10 different things. You learn the workflow. And people are, I mean, open source contributors are like angels who are helping you for free. Nothing, no outcome, nothing. They're helping you out of the box for absolutely no expectation. So you're getting everything for free. You can leverage it, do whatever you want with it. But intent, show intent. Once you show
Hmm.
intent, you'll find ways.
Yeah, I think then if someone coming to you with an intent, with very
Yeah,
high intent and motivation themselves, you will be more than happy to mentor
yeah,
them as well.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
so I think many of the people miss that in the
Hmm.
beginning, but I won't blame them because they don't know and they are getting started.
Yeah,
But I think after
yeah.
listening to this, they will understand that how important that is. You talked about open source contribution, right? Many of the people abuse that,
Yeah.
and we have seen multiple incidents of that. How what is your advice to people who are getting started into open source contribution? What are the myths or what are the things or the do's and don'ts of OSS?
So first things first, don't get into open source just for the sake of it. If you want to get a
Hmm.
job, I mean that's a good indication that you will get a job eventually if you contribute to open source. But don't just contribute for the sake of it. People know once you say that you've contributed to Angular, and that's a name change in a README file, people instantly know. And once they know, they'll reject you instantly. That's a very big turn off for them. Find real motivation. Why do you even want to contribute to open source? And the intent behind contributing comes from internal motivation, wherein you really want to build something, or you want to learn from people building great stuff. For example, I see a lot of people saying that they don't have any good open source projects. I'll give you a very small example. So Coolify is booming, right? Coolify
Hmm.
is platform as a service का खुद का solution wherein that is open source and you could host your own solutions, deploy and on a server, and it works. So Coolify Score product is very popular right now, but their website is very basic, coolify.com or coolify.I, I'm forgetting. And it has got like what, I'll just check it, give me a second.
Yeah.
GitHub Coolify Labs IO, and their website, which is where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Coolify.io landing
Dot
page.
io.
So,
Yeah.
Coolify.io's landing page has got 4 stars and 5 forks, and it has got great opportunity for people to
Yeah.
contribute to. So, if you
I
go to
see some misalignments
Coolify.io,
also.
you see misalignments. You see this is built by a developer and not a
Mm.
design engineer or someone who has got great design. You can
Yeah.
help them with a great design. Who knows, tomorrow they give you a shout out on Twitter and people start picking up. This is one great opportunity. It is in Svelte and Astro. I checked it, but then I
Yeah.
didn't want to contribute. I sent it to 10 different people. This is the opportunity. Coolify is booming. You can contribute to their website. The code is open source. If they like it, they'll merge it. None of them even started working on
Mm.
the repository. It has got 5 stars. It has got 5 forks, 4 stars. Very low traction. Very big opportunity for you to actually make a mark. You'll be visible. There are no 1,000 people contributing on this repo. You will get visibility. So you'll have to find,
Mm.
initially at least, initially you'll have to sort of find these projects, and you will get into the eyes of the maintainer who's actually building it. He'll be very grateful that you did it for him. You had better sense of design, better sense of how front end web landing pages should be, and you could basically help him. And who knows, tomorrow down the line he'll contact you for further work. So these are
Yeah.
the opportunities that you have to find, and that is why I wanted to give you a practical explanation. Like, there are many such examples, like Coolify. There are many people doing open source
Mm.
contributions and open source projects. For example, Plausible ka open source. You can
Uh,
self host Plausible. You can make a mark there. I mean, there are
yeah.
many. It depends. You'll have to find it. You'll have to have this mindset. Low traction initially if you're just starting out. Low traction, so that the maintainer can also help you out and review your pull request and can guide you better where you could improve. So that's your learning. And the other thing is, you get to say that you actually did some valuable contribution to open source, and it will be Coolify. People already know Coolify. So these are the small
Yeah.
little things that you can do.
I think this is such a great hack.
Yeah,
I mean, this is so amazing because right now the maintainer has all the time for you.
yeah,
He or she will have lot of attention
yeah,
right now, and they might guide you initially, and you will be adding a very doing a very
yeah,
valuable contribution to this project. Maybe
yeah,
you do find such 10 projects and do the contribution,
yeah,
and out of those maybe
yeah,
one, two, or three might pick up, and tomorrow 5 years down the line you will be the biggest contributor
yeah,
to that
yeah.
open source.
I mean,
And now
freelancing
when
is
I
the bare minimum that you can do with this.
Hmm.
Freelancing is the bare minimum. The least effective thing that you can do with this is freelancing. That it will help you with. There are many advantages. But yeah,
I
please go
see.
ahead. I'm sorry I cut you off.
No, no, sorry. I see a very good opportunity for designers also to do
Yeah,
contribution to open source here.
yeah, yeah,
Right. Just
yeah,
go and design their landing pages,
yeah,
or there are so many things where you think there is misalignment, copy, bad
yeah,
design. You just go design the landing page, get a developer friend with you,
yeah.
and do contribution to that.
I
I
mean,
think
if you
yeah,
check
this
out the
is this.
Coolify's landing page, there is
Hmm.
nothing, and there is so
Yeah.
much opportunity. You see the list of their sponsors who are sponsoring it. Once you have a
Hmm.
really great website, people will start asking these Coolify people who built it for you, or if you did it yourself, and they'll be happy to refer you to 10 different places. They'll be more than happy to refer you.
Yes, absolutely. I think this is a great hack to get started with your career,
Yeah,
and a very significant and meaningful hack to get started.
yeah,
Um, I just now I want to go back to Aceternity because that is something which is
yeah.
making a lot of buzz. As I mentioned earlier, it made you
Oh, I
famous.
didn't know. It made me
Uh,
decently famous. I don't know how many people are still using it, but yeah, made me what I am.
Okay, you can try to be humble. That's a good thing. But I
I'm
am
not
telling
trying to be
you,
humble.
it's really making noise around because lots of YouTubers have picked it up, talked about it,
Yeah,
gave you the
yeah,
shout out. That was pretty crazy because somebody else you launched Aceternity on Project Spotlight. Then someone sent me the video of one of the YouTuber talking about Aceternity, and then I think I sent it to you uh,
Yeah.
to check it out. And I think that was the
Yeah.
time when it picked up.
Yeah.
Uh, I want to understand how you got this uh, 6 years of overnight success with Eternity,
I don't know, maybe
right?
a lot of tailwind master kit learnings, I'd say. So I launched it with like five components. I didn't wait for the perfect time, perfect set of components, perfect set of the
Hmm.
numbers that I wanted to have. I did not. I just launched it. I was like, I have five really good looking components. Take it or leave it.
Yeah,
So that was the whole idea. And then I started talking about it aggressively on Discord servers, on comment section. I used to ask people to try it out. I mean, I'm if people would meet me, I would just tell them to open your phone and visit Eternity UI. Even my lawyer friends, I used to tell them, "Ki, ye dekho, I've built this." So that is how I marketed it initially. But then it got eyeballs. Once people started using it, word of mouth traveled from there. I
hmm.
mean, I launched it on Peerlist Project Spotlight. I posted it on Twitter, Hacker News, indiehackers.com, Product Hunt. I mean, all the platforms you could imagine. I posted it there, and I was following it very closely. And I took in user feedback really seriously. So, if example, if someone says on my intercom chat, we want this component, I won't think if it fits or not. I'll just build a really good looking component with some design knowledge, some performance improvements, and I'll launch it. I won't wait for people to, give me 100 different components and then I build it. I'll just build it. So, bias for action, considering feedback, taking feedback really seriously, I think helped. If someone says build this component for me and I built it for them, they'll promote the product for me for free. And I
Yeah.
know they'll also go into a company where they'll work. And once they talk about Easternity there, it'll get into the founders, vision. And then founders will reach out eventually for their work. This is the entire fun.
I think you have uh, understood and hacked the late gratification thing,
Yeah.
and how these small steps actually adds up
Yeah. Yeah.
and blows up in the future, because you
Yeah.
did not wait for building 20 components and then releasing it. You just
Yeah.
built an MVP of 5, start iterating.
Yeah.
How, I think, what advice you will give for people who have unfinished projects right now?
Finish them. Even if it is unfinished, launch it. Let your users, I mean, a lot of people spend a lot of time building the wrong features which are not even required. To
Hmm.
fix that, just launch it and ask people to use it. Let them tell you if they want it or not, or if they want that feature. And if they're saying they want this XYZ feature, build it religiously. Take user feedback very seriously and build it for them. Once you build it for them, you'll be spending your time into the right set of features that people are actually asking for. And that will sort of drift you away from the wrong things that you might have done earlier. For example, don't try to polish a component if people are not complaining about it. Try to build a
Hmm.
component which people are already asking. So spend your time into that. If someone says, if someone says this component is not performing well, that is when you work on that component and that is when you fix it for them. But if people are not complaining, probably people are not using it. If people are not using it, either remove it or fix it. So removing makes more sense, because if people are not using it, don't have it. That is when also user feedback comes in. You can have all sorts of analytics in place to figure out what people are using, what people are copying or not. There is this plausible analytics that you can have, free, paid. I'm not sponsored, by the way, but you can self-host, do event tracking, all sorts of things. That's also another learning in itself. So all these things that you can do, and you focus on really good user feedback, and just launch your product. I was shy initially. I did
Hmm.
not launch because I was too embarrassed of my projects, and that is the biggest mistake that I did back then. If I would have talked about my side projects more in my early career, maybe Eternity UI would have happened 2 years back, and maybe this would have been the biggest library right now. But that
I
that
think
happens.
you said it. I have a question on this of sharing your work, which you mentioned.
Yeah.
I think, and it has played a very pivotal role in what Eternity is right now.
Yeah.
How you encourage people to keep sharing what they're working on? Um, what are the ways to do that? At what
So
stage people should start talking about what they're working on?
have something substantial to at least share, even if it is a
Hmm.
graveyard of side projects. At least be vocal that you've built. Be proud of your side projects. Basically, be proud of any work or any effort that you've put in into something. Be proud of that. I wasn't, and that was my drawback at that point in time. For example, there is this person who I talk to, and he keeps on saying every time, I'm building this, I'm building this, I'm building this. So this is the resume website that I've done. I'm also integrating AI. The only feedback that I have for him is, do not tell it to me, tell it to the world. You have Twitter, you can post the same exact same things there. That कि यार I've built this resume website wherein the user can generate resume with AI. So the user can generate a resume with AI, and you'll have building blocks wherein you could modify the resume with AI also. So he's explaining all these nitty gritty details about, to which I said, post it on Twitter, post it on Peerlist, post it on other platforms, and get user to tell you what I'm about to tell you. And that post actually blew up. That, I mean, I'm forgetting the name of the guy. I just know him alias from Discord, but that blew up. That also helped him. People started using it. He got real world users to try out his product at least. Most of the APIs are also free. If you use Gemini API, AI related, all those APIs are probably free. So you can, be coming back to my previous point, be very proud of your side project, and don't be
Hmm.
embarrassed, don't be shy when it comes to, you have Peerless project spotlight, right? Everyone is sharing projects there. That is a good window. You get, I mean, the founder of Peerlist are going to tell you if it is working or not, or what two things that you can improve that might have a huge difference later down the road. All these things matter. All these things compiled with this duration of time will reap rewards and benefits. Patience is another thing, but you'll have to have that builder mindset. Key, I want to build things. I want to build something that people are going to use. Money will come later. That is true. Money is one motivation, but yes, definitely builder's mindset.
Do you think that builder mindset is also a little bit? Uh, People have misunderstood builder mindset. They always think like builder mindset is like building, building, building.
No,
But
it's not. Yeah, people have misunderstood. Yes, because
so,
a builder has to do a lot of things, not just building.
hmm,
A builder has to, you know, reiterate. A builder has to take in feedback. A builder has to have faith in his product. A builder should know when to pivot from the idea if it is not working. A builder should be able to market his product. A builder should be able to talk about his product. And all of this can fail, and you'll have to move to a separate product. All these things, all these you know aspects or variables come into picture, and that is the trade-off. Like
hmm.
with jobs and with your own startup, you make trade-offs, right? If you're comfortable in a salary and if you're learning, by all means do it. But if you want to have more, if you want to have more freedom, stuff like that, whatever. And people have this misconception also that if you're a builder, you'll have more freedom. Take it from me, I'm working way more than used to work in a job. Even if I have to travel, I'm responsible for my product and I have to make sure it works, and I have to answer to a lot of people. So you will be always building and always marketing. It is not the most lucrative thing in the world. You'll have to dedicate a lot of your time. I have to sacrifice a lot of family time, a lot of friends time into this. I have to sit here. I at one point in time became really unhealthy, that I had to fix my sleep schedule and stuff. So not that lucrative. So be prepared if you're coming into it. But once you strike the right balance, I think it can reap way huge rewards with what you're trying to build.
I think entrepreneurship has been romanticized a lot,
A lot, a lot, a lot.
right? But it's not that cool. Uh,
And it's not for
it's
everyone.
it's not for everyone. Okay, on that point, I really want to talk like why entrepreneurship is not for everyone.
Like I said, you'll sacrifice family time. Now, if you're built for 9 to 5, if you want to have a work-life balance after that, if you want to you spend some time with the family, go out with friends on weekend, stuff like that. Entrepreneurship is probably not for you, because at one point in time your product becomes the center of your life and you're just building your product. So Aceternity UI, when it picked up, And once it started gaining more traction, it became the center of my life. I ignored my health, I ignored my family, I ignored my friends, I ignored entertainment stuff. I was totally building and marketing. That was not the right approach with it, and that I've also changed now. I'm more health focused, I travel a bit, I meet new people, I'm trying to widen my spectrum. So if you're not comfortable with this lifestyle, if your goal is to grow into tech or strike a work life balance chord and not many expectations probably, then job is the right thing for you. Once you figure out, keep thinking, I want to try something else. I've done enough job while I work 5 6 7 years, and you want to build a product that you have a really good vision for. That I think you can dedicate some years of your life to in it, see if it works, make it stable. And once that is stable, you can set up your own team, like how I do now. I have my own team to which I delegate things.
Oh, nice.
That initial grind will always be there. I mean, there is no person, even talk about Elon Musk, that guy practically works all the time, right? So you know what entrepreneurship take, what cracked engineers, cracked people are. There is this concept, not the most lucrative thing to follow, but it has its rewards. There are trade-offs. You as a person will have to decide what you're more comfortable with. So
I think,
person's very own agenda comes into picture.
yeah, I think that is important. And I also want to ask you about, um, people take it in a sense that when someone advises them that you have to work maybe 16 hours a day initially, even if it's irrespective of whether you are an entrepreneur or even you are getting started in your career, it's getting your first job, you have to work really really hard.
Yeah.
And sometimes uh, people label it as toxic, but um, do you really think that you can avoid that work life balance initially? Is it okay to do that?
Initially, yes. Initially, I think if you're trying to make a name of yourself, initially, if you're trying to build your own thing that you want to have monetary benefits down the line, it is worth the sacrifice, is what I'll say. Because
Hmm.
toxicity is when your boss is asking you to work 16 hours and you have to work 16 hours. If you're doing it willingly because your product is your own baby, you'll have to have that sort of affection to your own product. If you're really attached to it and if you're putting in that much of time, by all means do it. It's worth it. Even if you're not making money, you'll have a lot of learnings that later down the road will compound. So I mean, that is why even I don't even talk about 16 hours a week. I mean, 16 hours a day on Twitter and stuff like that, because people take it as toxic. I'm like, do
Yeah.
whatever you want to do. Even if it is toxic for you, it might not be for someone who's actually in love with their product. And if they're totally dedicated, I mean, people prepare for IIT right? They study
Hmm.
for 16 hours, they study for 14 hours. I'm not sure if they're dedicated towards studies or they're dedicated towards a picture that they have to go to IIT and get a job. Which one is more toxic? I don't know, but people do it. 16 hours. I mean, my clients work way more than I do, who are really
Hmm.
established people, who are into US Air Force, US Defense, building products for the government. They're very hardworking people. But what they've done is they've struck the right chord. They work 16 hours also, but then there are days they don't work at all. They spend a lot of their time with their families, going out maybe. So I don't have to wait for Saturdays and Sundays to go party. I have
Hmm.
to just be dedicated enough to, make sure my product is on the right track. And I have dedicated enough time to already, I mean, I've, like you said, 6 years I've put in into this. So I'm, eligible for 2 days, 5 days, 7 days vacation at my convenience. So,
Hmm.
like I said before, it totally depends what you want from your life. If you're satisfied with your job, by all means, job is the right thing to do. But if you want more, if you want to have, what job is not offering you, there are various ways to do it. Like,
Yeah.
I do tech also. I'm into construction also. There are many things that I'm dabbling with. So, it totally depends. Try out different things. It's never too late.
Yeah, I think that's a good advice which you have shared right now, which is if you're not happy with what you're doing right now, maybe in for an example
Yeah.
in your job, have that kick out of your side projects,
Yeah.
build something on the side, learn out of it. I think that works. I think that is how Peerlist also started. So
Super nice.
yeah, so I think one last question before we uh, call it off is, and this is a question which I also got asked by many people who are launching their side projects. When is the right time to monetize these side projects? Because many
When is
people
the
shy
right
away from
time?
asking money.
Yeah. Even I was shy initially. So when you feel is the right time, you'll have. I mean, gut feeling works for me, at least for me. So, for example, Aceternity UI was free for a long time. A long time. I mean, it's still free. You can still use the components. It's all ui.aceternity.com is free. But I was seeing a lot of traffic. I was doing a lot of work. But then my service business was working already. So I wanted to give more value, but this time I wanted to charge the user for my value that I'm giving. My product was already proven. I was already helping people. It was out there already. People were loving it. So I thought, why not move it a step further and then start charging? That is when Eternity UI Pro came in. It has been like 26, 24 days since launch. Doing pretty well, by the way. And that is where I thought ki chalo Eastern UI has components, so this will have blocks, that too individual blocks. So you can buy hero section 10 components for $9, but there is also an upsell wherein you can have everything for 169. So most of the people buy 169. So those
Hmm.
learnings also came into picture, and that is when I thought ki bhai, chalo Eastern UI is now established, I should start charging money to people, because it would have been like 6 months since launch of Eastern UI, and I was confident that this would work. So the gut feeling came in. But if your product doesn't allow for a free tier, free users rarely convert into paid ones, is what I've seen. Rarely.
Hmm.
So there's like, if you have 1 lakh free users, maybe 0.0% would convert. That is not all. That is also not sure. So if you're spending some time into your product, if it is polished enough, it is providing enough value, no matter how small, no matter how small the screenshot tool is, if it is providing value, by all means charge it. Subscriptions or lifetime, that depends on your, I mean, if you're using AI, obviously it has to be a subscription. But if it is your effort, you can maybe give a lifetime access and something. But if it is a paid, I mean, if you're putting in your money into it, by all means charge. If your product requires people to pay, by all means have it. Don't shy away from it. I mean, the more you shy away, the more you're delaying the money coming in. Be confident in asking for money if you're providing value, and you have to make sure that you're providing subsequent amount of value. So it's all
Hmm.
values game, is what I feel. If you're providing value, for example, if on Peerlist I post a job, and 100 people come in, all developers, all vetted, and I get to select. I mean, I can close the hiring in, let's say, 2 days, 3 days. That's a value add for me. I'll happily pay
Yeah.
you whatever your charges are. As a founder, I'll happily pay you, because otherwise I would have to go into maybe Peerlist, scroll, or Twitter, manually send out key. If you're interested, then I'll manually have to schedule. Hiring is another different. I hate hiring. Is very, very difficult to find the right person, right mindset, right skills. So if you're solving that for me, I'll happily pay you whatever you're asking for. So
Yeah.
this is the mindset of the user as well. The good users. There are bad people also. There are bad users. No matter how much value you provide, they'll always ask for a refund. But don't get motivated, demotivated from them. If you're providing value, ask for money by all means.
Yeah, I think that is one really, really important lesson for anyone who is building side projects. I think maybe aim for monetization,
Yeah,
and that also pushes you to um, provide a lot of value, as you mentioned, and
yeah,
make your product better. Uh,
yeah.
you never know; you might leave your job and start doing it full time.
Definitely, definitely.
And
That's what I did.
one yeah, so I think how you prepared for that financially, like from leaving your job, the
Yeah,
financial stability, you work for 3 years and then you decided
yeah,
to go full time into entrepreneurship and building all this stuff 24 by 7, 365.
yeah.
How you prepared yourself personally and financially as well?
So started off at 25,000 rupees a month job, but eventually it was good. So
Hmm.
I what I did was, I talked to myself and I was like, if Aceternity does 10x of what I'm getting into this job for 6 months, I'll quit. And it did it in 1 month. Still, I delayed it for 3 to 4 months just for the job security mindset. I discussed it with my mother. My mom was like, "What if it shuts down tomorrow?" I'm like, "It won't." I had confidence, and then when I had confidence, my family also got a bit of confidence. कि भाई, if he has confidence, then it'll work. So that is what I had. I had runway of at least 12 months or 24 months into my bank account, what my job would have paid at that point in time. And that made me realize that now I have 2 years worth of supply and money into my account. Now I can at least give it 4 months or 6 months to my product and see if it works. Worst case, I'll get another job. Worst case, because I had skills, I had proven projects, I had people that were willing to hire me like without interviews. So I had all that. I had nothing to lose, and the worst case was a better paying job. So path was laid out for me. I had nothing to lose, and it was a really easy decision for me. Still, I delayed it because I really wanted to know if it would work or not. But if you have that kind of funds into your account, let's be realistic, if you have funds into your account that you can survive for 6 months, 12 months, you can probably dedicate 3 months of your job to your side project if you have 12
Yeah.
months funds, because Indian households run on top of it. Not everyone have that kind of money, so you'll have to make sure you're able to support your family for at least 12 months. Because I had the privilege, I had the opportunity, I had jobs at my hand. Other people might not. So you have to have that 12-month fund, and wherein you could try for something different for 3 months. And if it doesn't work, you have 9 months to get a job. And you already had a job, so you can get another job, is what the mindset is. So this thought process and this thing simplifies the way for you to focus on your side project. At least that's what it did to me.
I think having that personal runway of 12 to
Yeah,
24 months builds
yeah,
that conviction to, go and take that leap of faith.
yeah.
Yeah, I think similar things happened with me and Yogini as well. Like we wanted to
Okay.
have a personal runway of at least 18 months and we
Yeah.
should survive without changing our lifestyles.
Right,
And
right. That.
yes. So I think, yeah, inspiring stuff. It's always, I think now it's the time we should meet in
I'll
person.
come to I'll come to Missile meetup when I'm in Pune. I don't know when you're organizing it, but would definitely love to,
We will do
come
it
down to Pune.
if you come down to Pune, we will have Mr. Meetup for you.
Oh, definitely, I'd love to come
That's
to
for
Pune.
sure. Cool. I think
Yeah,
thank you so much for your time. You have been really, and I'm really grateful for you for, and thank you so much like being here. But thank you so much for uh, you know fan or brand ambassador of Peerlist.
oh, I'm a huge fan. I'm a
That
huge fan of Peerlist.
that that is really really actually somebody sent me a recording of you giving a shout out uh, in a live. Uh, so that felt really nice. That
Okay,
okay.
okay,
So
okay.
cool.
Day before yesterday live, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So I got the
super
I
cool,
got the
super cool.
screen
Yeah.
recording of it.
Yo,
Uh,
send it to me because I have no clue.
okay,
But
I'll
I
send it
love
to you.
Peerlist. I love you both, you and Yogini. I mean, I'm a huge fan. You're a power duo who really ships stuff. I love your team also. I know
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
personally a lot of people from your team who are doing exceptional
Yes.
work. Really motivated, really how a startup should function. I wish that I had a office space or a team like you people have. That's really crazy out there. But I love it. I love it. Any person I
Yeah.
meet, I make sure they know about Peerless, because something coming of that quality out of India makes me a little bit proud.
Yeah.
Indians doing good stuff, crazy stuff, competing directly with the giants. So makes me wonder, like, we are on the right track.
Yeah. Cool, awesome. I think thank you so much, and I think we have covered a lot of ground, and I
Yeah,
really enjoyed talking to you. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Always
same
get to
same
learn a lot
likewise,
of
sir.
stuff. Amazing journey, and I wish you all the best. All the best to Eternity.
Thank
All
you.
the best to you, your team, and say thanks to everyone, and thanks to I mean, I actually want to thank your mom also, because I think she have a lot of contribution to what you are today,
Yeah, yeah,
and
and
I think we
everything.
always
Yeah,
underestimate that.
yeah.
But yeah, thanks again, and thank you so much, and we'll see you around.
Thank you so much. And by the way, one last request while we are here. When are you launching your design course so that I can actually learn designing? When are you going to do
I
that?
I think just before I decide to retire, maybe I'll be like I
That's a
think
long time.
I
I
think
need to
I
make
think
more money, so I need to make sure that I know design. So you need to do it faster.
I think even that get backlashed, by the way, like when founders start charging money for the courses. That happened.
Arey, who
Uh,
cares, sir? Babbe the
uh,
mayor, Jat don't care attitude, sir. You should also have. Don't care, just do your own thing. I don't know why people stop. I mean, I got a lot of backlash also when I started pro. But who
yeah,
cares? If you're providing
yeah.
value, if you're true to yourself, if people are ready to pay, doesn't matter. I'll pay, sir. You take my credit card right now and you tell me when you launch the course. You take 10x the amount that you would normally charge, but I'll happily pay for what you've done because look at Peerlist Design. If I learn that set of design skills, if I can incorporate into my workflow, I'll be charging my clients 10x. So
Yeah, I
uska
think
return on investment will be there. But you should, sir.
we'll
Definitely.
we'll definitely try to start that right now. Like lots of lots of
Yeah,
things
yeah, yeah,
happening,
yeah,
and
yeah,
like next 6 months are going to be absolutely crazy. Lots of milestone we'll be achieving,
yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah. So I'm just looking forward to that. Now I'm getting little bit. So me and Yogini now are bit hands off because team is being absolutely
Mm.
fantastic in shipping and delivering what we want to do. That's
Mm.
why we are like shifting orbits, we both,
Okay.
and taking care of other things. But yeah, I will definitely do. I promise you, I will
Yeah.
start the design
Now you're
cohort.
promised. Now you'll have to do it.
Yes, for sure. Cool, awesome.
Awesome.
Let's say goodbye and thanks everyone if you have
Thanks. Thank you,
watched the
everyone.
episode till now. Yeah.